Hi guys, welcome to Madcap. Today we will be seeing 15 bizarre facts about ninja. One. Ninjas wear black, usually. The historic ninja uniform was called a shinobi shizuko. There were a few different colors used, depending on what was needed. Black or dark blue was used for night missions when being seen would mean certain death. White was used for winter missions so they could easily blend in with the snow-covered area. 2. Ninjas make signs with their hands. Kujikiri means 9 symbolic cuts. It is a technique that belongs to the esoteric Buddhist tradition. From the outside, it seems to consist in drawing 9 lines in the form of a grid, then drawing a symbol on the grid. In fact, it is the setting in place of 9 energy structures, that once activated, can empower a concept represented by the drawn symbol over the grid. This symbol then interacts with what seems to be reality, and modifies the structure of the universe according to the desired effects. It is the sacred esoteric science of the Oriental image. 3. Ninjas use fake footprints. Zori are kind of Japanese flip-flop made from straw. A shinobi could change them in order to make different noises that would fool his foe or to walk more quietly. In order to avoid detection, ninjas would actually attach ashiya uro, or fake footprints to their boots that would make people think they were a small child or elderly person. 4. Ninjas invented their own flashlight. When ninjas acted almost in the night. Because in those days, people did not have any electric appliances, light was always necessary to create for ninjas. For this reason, they invented a light-emitting device, named Gandu. Gandu was a wooden cylinder with a diameter of about 200 millimeters, a height of about 280 millimeters and a weight of about 880 grams. In the Gandu, a lit candle was set. This candle was supported by 2 gyros, so regardless of how the ninja swung the Gandu, the candle would keep vertical and the light never disappeared. 5. Ninjas take training seriously. Ninjutsu is a systematized Japanese martial art used for the specific purpose of espionage. The art was practiced by the shinobi or ninja that rose to prominence during Japan's Sengoku period 1467 to 1573 Warring States period. However, the origin of ninjutsu is just as secretive as the men who practice the art. When training, ninjas group off into different colors. A ninja has to stay with his color at all times, otherwise they get kicked repeatedly as punishment. Ninja will consider that they must always wear their tabi boots, even when they are sleeping. The most effective ninja are considered to be the ones sitting next to you in math class, blending into their surroundings. 6. Ninjas carry cooler weapons than the shuriken. Aside from the usual 4-pointed stars and arrows dipped in poison, ninjas use some other pretty crazy stuff too. The ashiko are spiked claws that can be worn on the feet and are used to climb faster and deliver deadly kicks, while the bow is a staff made from bamboo or hardwood which can be used to launch a poison-tipped dart or even a small knife, some more weapon-like. The kuza origama is a combination of a sickle and a long chain with a weight attached to the end of it. The sickle was used in a slashing or stabbing motion, as well as used to block and hook opponents' weapons. By holding the chain portion of the weapon, the sickle could be swung around to get a greater reach with it. The chain portion of the weapon was most often used for trapping an enemy or his weapon. Once tangled up with the chain, the ninja could finish him off with a sickle. This was a weapon the ninja invented out of farming tools they used. A shuriken sword hidden in user's hand is a traditional Japanese concealed weapon that was generally used for throwing, and sometimes stabbing or slashing. They are sharpened handheld blades made from a variety of everyday items, such as needles, nails and knives, as well as coins, washers, and other flat plates of metal. Shuriken is the name given to any small bladed object, while shaken is traditionally used to indicate the well-known throwing star. Mikobushi are sharp spiked objects that were used in feudal Japan to slow down pursuers. Mikobushi could penetrate the thin soles of the shoes, such as the waraji sandals that were commonly worn in feudal Japan when the mikobushi was dropped on the ground or planted in advance. Mikobushi could be carried in a bag attached to a belt along with other commonly carried weapons and or tools such as shuriken and kaginawa. Mikobushi could be thrown like a shuriken and could also be used against an enemy on horseback. 7. Ninjas carry bombs. No, not like terrorists. Have you seen Batman using thin air to disappear? They're more like flashbangs that distract their enemies while the ninja disappears into thin air. The explosives were introduced from China, were known in Japan by the time of the Mongol invasions in the 13th century. Later, explosives such as handheld bombs and grenades were adopted by the ninja. Soft-cased bombs were designed to release smoke or poison gas, along with fragmentation explosives packed with iron or pottery shrapnel. 8. Ninjas don't make noise when they walk. Ninjas are like noise black holes. In fact, some say that the quieter your surroundings get, the more ninjas are present. Ninjas had 10 basic walking methods. Let's have a look at them. 1. Shinobi Ashi. To raise a leg by pulling it up from the ground and silently putting the leg onto the ground from firstly the little toe and finally transmitting the weight from the little toe to the big toe. This was the most basic walk for ninjas. 2. Suri Ashi. To bring a leg up without raising it, which looked like brushing the ground. This was a walk used to not tread on some traps like Makabushi. In passing, this walk was the most standard step in any kind of Japanese martial arts, like Kendo, Karate, and Sumo. 3. Shimashi. To walk by rubbing the inside of the thigh. This was a walk used for the dodging from the attack of an enemy. 4. Tobi Ashi. To walk by jumping, but without a sound. This was a walk used to jump over stones. 5. Kata Ashi. To hop on one foot. 6. Oashi. A long stride walk. 7. Ko Ashi. A short step walk. 8. Kaizami Ashi. A mincing steps walk. 9. Hashiri Ashi. A fast walk. 10. Tsuno Ashi, a standard walk for ninjas. This was different from that of modern people. This walk is also called Nanba-Erik. The feature of this style is that the walker swings his right arm forward when he steps forward with his right foot. In the same way, he throws his left arm ahead when he brings his left foot forward. This is the opposite movement to a march. It is considered that the merit of this walk existed in the point that man could keep his stamina and could walk for a long distance without getting tired from walking. 9. Cat's eyes timing. Ninjas were trained in Nekomjutsu, which was the ability to tell time just by looking at a cat's eye very closely. Cats have very sensitive eyes, and their pupils adjust to the changing light throughout the day. In early morning, a cat's pupils are round and fully open to allow in as much light as possible. Between around 8 a.m. and noon, their pupils become more oval-shaped to block out the excess light as the sun rises higher. A cat's pupils are narrowest at noon when the sun is at its peak. With this knowledge, ninjas were able to accurately guess to within the hour what time it was. 10. Pencil cases. It's said that the pen is mightier than the sword. Usually, that isn't meant to be taken literally, but in the hands of a ninja, a pen could be outright fatal. Ninjas tried not to go anywhere without a yatagate. This was a small cylinder that was sometimes made from bamboo, although they were usually made out of metal. At one end was a small container to hold ink, while the rest of the cylinder was hollowed to hold a small calligraphy brush. Its use as a weapon aside, it is important to again remember that ninjas were spies. Yatate were vital to their ability to write down their observations of their targets and record information as they gathered it. In an attack, however, ninjas were able to conceal spikes, needles, and even poison in yatate instead of a writing brush. Like the kanzashi, no one had reason to be suspicious of pencil cases that most people carried anyway. 11. Rice. That's right, rice. Leave it to ninjas to turn dinner into a top-secret tool. As spies and assassins for hire, the most important part of a ninja's job was secretly passing along information. Their best method for doing this was gashiki mai, which means 5-colored rice. The rice was painted red, blue, yellow, black, or purple and used to send codes. Ninjas would drop the rice by the side of the road or any other inconspicuous place. Their enemies and other regular people wouldn't notice the rice, but ninjas from the same clan would be on the lookout for such things. Based on the combination of colors they dropped or the number of grains, the ninjas could make over 100 different codes. Not only was gashiki mai a genius spy tool, it was safe from birds, too. The paint kept the birds from mistaking the grains from seeds and eating them. 12. Crickets. Ninjas were masters of stealth and were trained to be able to approach enemies silently. However, there were times when a completely silent approach was impossible even for ninjas. Walking silently through a forest of dead leaves or crunchy snow was no easy feat. Even just stepping on a twig could reveal one's position and ruin an entire mission. For such occasions, ninjas often carried a small box or jar of crickets. The chirping of the insects disguised any stray sound the ninjas made. ninjas had a special mixture of chemicals to make sure the crickets chirped when they needed them to. It also made sure they didn't chirp when the ninja needed silence. Given how common the sound of crickets chirping is, enemies had no reason for suspicion. As a matter of fact, the opposite was usually the case. Insects and birds often stop chirping when a human or other predator is near. Even if they move silently, ninjas carried crickets to keep the silence of nearby animals from announcing their presence. 13. Seto Hikigane. As spies, it was vital that ninjas had good hearing. Sometimes they were just hired to learn information. Other times, they listened to the guards making their rounds to learn their schedules. Bottom line, eavesdropping was a large part of the ninja job description. To aid in that endeavor, ninjas used a listening tool called a Seto Hikigane. It's been nicknamed the ear trumpet because that's exactly what it looks like. Seto Hikigane were cone-shaped and were made of metal or sometimes wood. The size of the tool varied, with some being more concealable than others. The ninja would place the wide into a wall so that the sound coming through was magnified and funneled into his or her ear. It worked the same way cupping our hand to our ear or placing a cup to a wall does. 14. Danai. Ninjas were expert fighters, but even they couldn't fight chilly temperatures without a little help. Ninjas often used body warmers named Danai to survive long stakeouts in cold weather. The body warmers were commonly made of bamboo, iron, or copper. They contained flammable materials such as gunpowder, alcohol, and cloth. A fire-starting tool called it Zikatake was usually attached to the Danai to set the fuel ablaze. Once lit, the fuel could burn for hours, even days. Since so much of a ninja's job involved using their hands, the last thing they wanted was for their fingers to go numb from the cold or for them to get frostbitten. Danai were very useful in protecting them from such dangers. Also, as a fast and portable source of fire, it could be used for anything from setting an enemy's home on fire to cooking food. It was a cigarette lighter, ninja style. 15. Eggshells. As stealthy as they were, this was not the main reason ninjas were known for invisibility, it was because they used a wide array of blinding powders. Ninja were resourceful, never making anything that they could find ready-made. Therefore, their favorite containers for blinding powders were eggshells. Ninjas would use a needle to poke a hole in an eggshell without breaking it, then drain its contents. Once the eggshell was empty, ninjas would fill it with things such as iron filings, salt, powdered peppers, and so on. Anything that could bring tears to an average person's eyes was potentially an ingredient. In battle, ninjas would smash the loaded eggs in their opponent's eyes, blinding them. The eyes weren't the ninjas' only targets, they also made sure to include substances that were sure to irritate the nose and respiratory system. Even if their opponent was only weakened for a moment, it gave the ninja the advantage and more than enough time to either press forward with an even stronger attack or escape easily.